Hey guys, this is OddOneGaming. This is going to be another Raid Shadow Legends video. So today we are on the main account currently, and we are back in Hydra to rotation number 1. Rotation 1 was the rotation when everybody used all the cheese at the beginning, if people remember it, with Shamael using all the cheese of AoE ones. After this whole shenanigan, they got the mastery fix, the one that gave you like an extra attack with, let me see, what was the name? I even forgot the name. The one that's over here, deterrence. This one didn't used to have like a 1-turn cooldown. So basically people were cheesing this because of the torment head that kept proccing the true fear when you hit him. Everyone just keep hitting and hitting and hitting. Now that one's fixed and it can only happen once. So after that thing, the next step that Plarium did is they actually tweaked Hydra a little bit, as it was too hard. It was a little bit too hard. I agree it was too hard. I'm not sure, like from my point of view, I'm not sure that was actually the fix that it required, but it definitely made a huge impact in the community where people actually managed to do a lot more damage. Like before, some people, I've seen so many people say, oh my god, I could barely do like 2 key before hard, and now they're like 1 keying easily. So because of that reason, I said, okay, you know what, let me just go and try Hydra myself and see what's actually the difference. You can already see that in the back, the damage that I did. So what I'm going to do is I will play the run that I pre-recorded to show you the team and what I used in it and how it actually went. And then I will come back and I will explain what's the, like, you know, what's the idea behind my team and, you know, show the builds and all that. So see you in a bit, guys. And I am back. So this is the result of the team. So let me move myself a little bit. Actually, let me show the damage and then I can talk. I can stay in the middle. So as you see, Rolgar did 4.6 million damage almost. Husk did the most, 14.6, because obviously he's the one that's in the lead and he's the one that gets the turn meter boosted by Shamel because of the passive. Every time we get a truth here, Shamel keeps boosting his turn meter every single time. Lydia also attacks. That's why it's a good combination of having Lydia plus Shamel. Lydia also attacks every time somebody places a stun, fear, true fear. She always does the A1. And guess what? She gets true fear as well. And there's more turn meter for Husk. You noticed I was getting lots and lots and lots of attacks in there. So the damage, like I said, 14.6. There's no damage for Sifi. She's in my arena build. Lydia 2 million. She's mostly like, you know, my Lydia is in a weird build. She's like with high accuracy, high resist, high HP, high speed, you know, high everything. I just made a random crazy build. I could min-max her to maybe do more damage or, you know, be more survivable in certain ways. Shamel actually I have in Toxic, if you noticed. I mean, it's quite obvious. That's the whole idea of the tactic that I'm using. Lord Chamford is in random sets. He's my mischief target. Basically, this team relies on having one champion that always has the most buffs to be the target for the mischief. I chose Lord Chamford because he's the best one that I have. The best one for this idea would obviously be a Krisk. If you had somebody like a Krisk, because he put so many buffs on himself, you could even use a Duchess in this team instead of a Sifi for the other buffs. Like you would still not place the, what's it called? You would still not place the Perfect Veil, because that would mean that the Inquisitor Shamel is useless in the team. But yeah, instead of Lord Chamford, like I said, you can use a Krisk, you can use a... Who else? You can use Skull Lord Vargal. He puts a buff on himself and he also brings AoE decrease attack and provoke for the head of DK. So there's different options. I just wanted to try and test this with the champion that I did and, you know, try and give you more options to use. One thing that's really important that I like a lot is, honestly, after the last nerf and change to Hydra that gave us the opportunity to provoke the DK head, I feel like Husk might be better on certain rotations than Rolgard, not caring about the not caring about the affinities because of his A1 not only being a double hit, but his A1 also casts a provoke. Yeah, if you noticed, because he's in the lead and keeps getting so many turns, I can almost always keep the provoke on the head of DK, which made it so much easier to control the fight to go in my favor. This fight actually was my second try on Hydra Brutal. So my second try in a straight up work like that. And the way that I build this team at the end of the day is to have the tactic of, if you noticed, it was like what, minute 3? So I straight up focus killing the Torment Head, even though this is the one that you want to keep up to keep boosting your lead. I focus killing it and basically I just want the RNG of getting that head back. So if you look here, like 4 minutes and boom, I got the same head. If I don't get the same head, I can quit and come back in. It's better to have this type of RNG 3-4 minutes in than having this type of RNG like 20 minutes in or 25 minutes in. And basically my tactic was, after he pops back up, he comes with that mark, I forgot the name of that he makes him receive 75% less damage. So what I did while he had that is I filled his debuff bar with all debuffs apart from weaken and decrease defense. I do not want him to have weaken or decrease defense. I want to keep him alive as much as possible, because the more he's alive, the more I can target him and boost my Husk to keep going with the max HP. So I feel like, I don't know, I feel like the RNG was good, and I got the second time that I actually killed it, it was good because guess what? I had another head get killed. So at the end of the day, if it comes back the first time, the second time I'm gonna kill it, I'm gonna kill some other ones, which gives us a higher chance to get him back. So basically, after the first one, the second time, there's like, you know, it was like 1, 2, and I think it was what, the third and fourth one. See, I had 3 heads down. So I had really high chances of actually getting the Torment back up again, and then I could focus Torment again to keep my Husk going. So yeah, this is basically the tactic that I was using, and you know, I feel like it's pretty reliable, and you know, it's pretty nice to be able to actually one key on brutal. I don't have the craziest gear in the world. I don't have the craziest champs in the world. You know, I made it work with whatever I had. So let me just go and show you my builds actually in the meantime. So you see what's the champions I ran. So like you see, I just have it in my arena build with like reactions, swift parry. These are our masteries, so nothing too crazy. I'm happy that I can actually use champions in my arena builds instead of constantly having to change their builds, change those masteries, because that's something that people don't like. I don't like myself, and I do not want to do that. I do not want to be forced to change my gear every single time, to change my masteries every single time for every single champion. I agree, if I have to change, for example, on my nukers to get my best gear on my nukers to do it, and then I have like, I don't know, 2 nukers and I change them to two more of them, that's fine. But at least as long as I can keep the builds for my supports, keep the same builds that I'm using on Hydra to do in other areas without constantly having to change it, I'm happy. And that's the situation with Siphi, so I'm using her in this build. She's there obviously for the revive, for the passive heals, for the increased speed, increased defense, not so much for the block debuffs, because obviously if the Head of Mischief steals it, then that's gonna be annoying because we cannot land our debuffs. But mostly because, honestly, mostly because of the revives and heals. Because increased speed we get from Lydia already. Then the next one, let's look at Lydia. Let me just get her out. Lydia, like I said, she's in random sets. These are her total stats. Like I said, she has a little bit of everything. I didn't actually focus. I could just get her. I should get her to 100% crit rate, honestly, because I don't use her in arena. So since I'm not using her in arena, and I have PvE masteries for her, these are her masteries. Since I have PvE masteries for her, I should actually focus her more with, you know, at least 100% crit rate for starters. Okay, she's mostly using my Doom Tower, by the way. Then the next one, let's look at the Husk build. Okay, Husk, I have in a Reflex set. I've mentioned this before on my channel, but Reflex is the best set you can have on your Hydra and Hydra champions, because you want as much good RNG as you can get in there. I have Reflex set and double refresh. This is the best that I could do. These are his stats. The way that I built him basically is I put 100% crit rate, I put 250 crit damage, I put like 250 accuracy in the optimizer, and then I just took the slider and moved it to max on speed, and this is the build that I got on my Husk. That's how I built them. I remember seeing one to mess, I think, mentioning something like this. I watched him, I watched some other people with Hydra, I tested stuff myself, and I feel like that way it's like one of the best ways to do it. Oh yeah, one more thing, I put in slots to give me HP % chest, so we have a little bit of survivability. Okay, who was the next one? The next one was the Royal Guard. The Royal Guard basically did the same principle as Husk. Reflex, I only put one refresh because the other one I needed the speed. Same principle, HP % chest, and the same. Have the crit damage, 100% crit rate, and the speed. I would like this speed to be a little bit over 200, but you know, we make do. The reason why I want it a little bit faster is because sometimes he falls behind and he has too many buffs and he's not the target of the mischief anymore, and that's not what we want. We want him to always be the target of the mischief. Okay, let me see who I had. So I showed Siphi, Lydia, Husk, Royal Guard, so Chamford and Shamel. Okay, let me just get Chamford out as well because Shamel is already out. So like I said, Lord Chamford, he's in random pieces. Like one piece of protection, one set of resist, one speed, like I told you, randomness. I just wanted him to have the accuracy to land his debuffs, which is 250 plus, 450 resist to resist because he's the target as a mischief, and he has to resist the mischief in case he doesn't land his own decreased accuracy. You know, so if he doesn't land his decreased accuracy, he needs to be ready to do that. In a perfect world, you would want everybody else to have around 250 resist as well. So in case he's not the target, but he has the decreased accuracy landed, if somebody else is the target, you have a chance of resisting it. Also, in a perfect world, I would like to have Lord Chamford in a reflex set because I want to have that AoE decreased attack and AoE decreased accuracy landed as often as possible. I just need to keep farming, the the ice golem to get those, you know, resistance chests, because I think I only have a resistance chest in reflex. His masteries, again, I did PvE masteries, damage, and then here support for, you know, a chance to refresh it, get some more thermometer and get him to go again, because it's not a bad thing if he comes back to his skills again. And then the last one is Shamail. This one of them, because I have both Shamails built. If I can find the Shamail number 1. Okay, he's, like I mentioned, in a toxic set, and the way that I did it is I changed it a little bit. Before I used to have my Shamail just in toxic and survivable. Now I changed my tactic, and apparently this one works better. I actually got him to do damage. Reason being, if one of my enemy max HP champions is dead, and the other one is eaten by a Hydra, who am I gonna do damage with? Lydia, Chamfort, the supports? No, so at least I have another champion that gives me the option of doing damage. So basically I put him in a toxic set because, like I said, I want to keep that debuff bar filled with toxics with everything else but weaken and decrease defense. And I managed to get him a 202 speed, 100% crit rate, decent crit damage and accuracy. The reason why I put a little bit of accuracy on him is not for the toxic sets. Sets do not require accuracy to land. So stuff like toxic, daze, stun, taunting, you don't need accuracy. However, I want accuracy for his A1. His A1 can help because it has a chance to decrease the duration of a random buff on one target. I can use the A1 to remove the ally protection from the head of suffering from the heads that I want to target. As an example, you saw me using it on the DK. So when I want to hit the DK, I'd make him use the A1, and with him being fully booked, it's 50, it's 7, well, let me see, 55, 60, 70. 75% chance to decrease the duration of that buff by 1 turn. So basically, instead of having the ally protection for 2 turns, it goes down to 1. At the same time, when he counterattacks from his passive, not just with this one, but every time, for example, the DK places heal reduction on somebody, he counterattacks, and again, he has a chance to remove that ally protection. Same thing for Suffering. When Suffering attacks us and puts Weaken, Shamail counterattacks for every single debuff placed on him, and he has a chance to remove that reflect damage that can be extremely tricky. So, you know, everything falls into place and has like a specific reason in there, or I try to give it as, you know, to give it as many specific reasons as possible. And the masteries, again, I put the masteries, I gave him Giant Slayer because every time he counterattacks, if he has War Master, it can only proc once, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think it only procs once, but with Giant Slayer, he can proc it every single time, plus his A2 is a triple hitter. But yeah, this is my one key brutal team, and you know, I was quite excited I managed to do it. I hope that, you know, after the resets I'm gonna test it again. And honestly, sure, this time I just need, like I said, a little bit of good RNG at the beginning, and I'm good to go. The damage was consistent. I can still tweak the builds. I can still tweak my Lydia. As you saw, only did 2 million damage. I can get more damage out of her. I could try rebuild him in a reflex, and that way, you know, trying to get myself as good RNG as possible. And at the end of the day, to do brutal is getting pretty hard. Then when you get to the nightmare, it's even harder. The same thing could work on nightmare, but I just need to up those resistance and every single stat. So I hope this is helpful for you guys. I know it's a long video, but I wanted to actually explain every single step and everything that I actually did with everything I actually did with this team and why I did it. So maybe this gives you more ideas in case you want to focus doing that, doing Hydra yourself and trying to do, you know, brutal for you know, the better rewards basically from Hydra. But this will be it for the video today, guys. Peace, love, see you in the next one. Bye everyone.